This is our national champions panel, and again, this is also the third time that we're doing this because, again, we want to give all of you a sense of who our national partners are, what kind of resources they have for you to implement during Money Smart Week or otherwise, and leverage those resources. So the national partners will each give a little opening remarks on some of the things that they're doing, either for Money Smart Week or otherwise, and then we'll kind of do I'll have some questions throughout, and we're going to open this up. But we want to have this, a conversation, so please have your questions ready. I'll introduce everyone here from the podium, and then I'm going to go sit in that Captain Kirk chair. Although I'm more of a Han Solo guy, so I'll just pretend I'm Han Solo. All right, so let's first start off with our first guest, Michael Dowling. He's been the Director of Chapter Relations Office and International Relations Office of the American Library Association, and he's been doing that since April 2002. He has coordinated ALA's Money Smart Week efforts since 2011 when we first launched. Prior to his current duties, he was the Deputy Director of Research and User Services Association, a division of ALA. Before joining ALA, he was the Director of the Monroe Public Library in Wisconsin and a reference librarian at Temple University of Japan in Tokyo. He received his master's in library and information science from the University of Maryland. Our next guest is Noreen Coughlin. She is the Mission Outreach Director for the Foundation of Financial Planning, a nonprofit charitable organization whose mission is to help people that take control of their financial lives by connecting the financial planning community with people in need. The foundation achieves its mission by supporting pro bono advice and outreach activities. Since 1998, the foundation has awarded 175 grants for over $5 million to nonprofit organizations across the nation that are providing pro bono financial planning outreach activities and financial life skills outreach. Her current responsibilities include managing the foundation's pro bono outreach initiatives, grant programs, other pro bono program development, and third-party outreach partner relationships. Coughlin has a Bachelor of Science in Business from the University of Pittsburgh and an MBA from the University of Louisville. Pam Atkinson is one of 3 consumer economic educators for the University of Illinois Extension. In addition to teaching individual classes on a variety of financial subjects, she holds training for the CFPB's Your Money, Your Goals toolkits, trains and manages volunteer money mentors for one-on-one mentoring, and is a member of the team that is rewriting the award-winning curriculum, All My Money, a financial management curriculum for persons working with limited resource audiences. She also writes for the award-winning Plan Well, Retire Well blog. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Family and Consumer Economics, Teacher Education, and a Master's of Science in Human Development and Family Resources from both from Illinois State University. And finally, Dan Rutherford. He has joined the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, in August 2011, when the Bureau was less than 2 weeks old. He's the Senior Content Specialist for the CFPB's Office of Financial Education, where he manages the development and publication of the Bureau's financial education materials. He also leads a number of national scale financial education programs, including the CFPB's Community Financial Education Libraries Initiative, which he'll be talking about today. Dan came to the Bureau with 17 years of professional finance writing and financial education experience. Before joining CFPB, Dan was Associate Director in FINRA's Office of Investor Education, where he focused on marketing and educational campaigns for FINRA and the FINRA Investor Education Foundation. His work focused on informing older Americans about how to spot and avoid investment fraud and helping military service members and their families do more with their money and cope with the financial stress of deployment and relocations. Before joining FINRA, Dan led online strategy and communications for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, where he developed and led online organizing and issue campaigns and wrote about workplace issues for the 1.2 million member union. Prior to joining the labor movement, Dan was the editor of Kiplinger.com and the website for Kiplinger's Personal Finance Magazine and Kiplinger's Letters. As the editor, Dan created the website's Library for Financial Basics, led the development of numerous online calculators and consumer tools, and wrote feature stories for the website and magazine. So please give a warm welcome to our panelists. And I will join you guys. So I've asked the panelists to give a few opening remarks, and they are welcome to do it from the podium or their seats. So, Michael.
Yeah, since probably can't see me from if you're over there, so I thought I'd stand up. Mine is very low tech, as Alejo said. There were going to be a lot of PowerPoint, so he suggested if we wanted to, we could go low tech. So hopefully everybody has a little cheat sheet that I handed out that kind of just gives a quick overview of library landscape and some of the things that are going on with our activities with Money Smart Week and some other things. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody here for incorporating and inviting and being welcoming to libraries to be part of your efforts. I know probably all of you think they're great partners, and they are. And so we're very appreciative of you including us in your sphere and working with us to help our customers as well, because there are customers like your customers. But first, I'd like to have those librarians in the house to raise their hands. We have two. Okay, so Lori, I know, is from Wisconsin. Is that Maryland? Oh, from Milwaukee. Okay, so we have two Wisconsin librarians, so I want to thank the librarians, right? And actually, Lori is the one who really kind of got ALA involved. So going back to kind of backstories, not as far back as 2001, but one of my colleagues went up to the Wisconsin Library Association Library Conference, and Lori was doing a program about Money Smart Week because it had already been started in Wisconsin, was doing well, and Lori was obviously sharing the story with her colleagues across the state. And so my colleague came back and said, oh, there's this interesting program, and it's run by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. And so then, okay, well, we're in town, they're in town, let's go and meet. And so I guess we're the ones who called, and Alejo was receptive and said, come on over. And we had, I think it was a lunch instead of a breakfast, a very nice lunch with Alejo and others. And that's the beginning of the story of how we got involved. And obviously that was during the financial crisis time frame. A lot of libraries were struggling, and so we wanted to kind of figure out that, what our library is going to be able to do to help not just themselves as far as, showing their value, but what other values are they going to bring to their communities. And so we got engaged just because we knew that libraries in Wisconsin and some other places were starting, and Alejo was very happy because, as he said, the program started to bleed and blossom beyond the borders of the District 7. Is that what you guys are? Isn't that a movie, right? District 7 or District 9 or
District
something?
9, right.
District 9, okay. Who's ever in District 9, watch out. Like I said, we're involved. I just wanted to kind of give you, since, the library world is different than everybody else's world, so this hopefully just kind of gives you a nice summary of how it is. So ALA is the biggest, largest association, but there are other associations. So there's a Special Libraries Association, there's a Law Library Association, there's a Medical Library Association. But so ALA covers primarily public libraries, academic libraries, and school libraries. Those are and they're the three biggest groups, as you can see by the numbers here. But this kind of gives you a totality of libraries. Counting the school libraries, which are the largest. There's almost 120,000 libraries in the United States. There are more public libraries in the United States than there are McDonald's. It's one of our little factoids that we have. So, and so as you said, locations, community, So, yeah, thank God for that. Yeah. So we had done, there's been some financial education programs, and I'll talk about that just in a little bit, but we obviously started in 2011. We wanted to kind of really be helping to spread Money Smart Week across. And as I mentioned 2 years ago or whatever, libraries love weeks. We have lots of weeks. We have a National Library Week. We have this week I think is Banned Book Weeks, or last week was Banned Books Week, which is kind of anti-censorship week, if you're not engaged in that. We have Teen Read Week. We have Teen Tech Week. So libraries love weeks because obviously it lets them concentrate and focus programming, not just for one time of the year, but then they can build on that for the rest of the time. And that's really what we were hoping to have with financial Money Smart Week, is that, for the people who hadn't started to do financial education programming at the libraries, this would be the first way to get their feet wet. An easy program that's, already kind of packaged with ideas from others who had already done it. That's what we do in libraries. We also steal things all the time from each other, just like we're doing here today. And so it's been growing. And so I think, as you said, the majority of the ones in 2011 were in this region, but then we started to get the word out, and we do that by a number of ways, and Alejo just wanted for us to mention that. ALA has 2 conferences each year, for national conferences for the big associations. So we have one in the summertime, which gets about 20,000 people come to it, quite large conference. We also have one usually in January, which this year will be in Boston, and that usually gets about 10,000 people. So for the last 5-6 years, we've been more or less having a Money Smart Week program during each of those conferences. People can come learn about it. We bring in librarians such as Lori and others who, have already done it to kind of share their stories, because, the thing is, well, for a lot of these librarians who haven't done it, it's like, well, this is a little scary, right? It's like maybe the first time they did health programs or legal programs. These are areas that they're not experts about, but librarians, quickly realize we're not supposed to be the experts. We're the ones who are supposed to bring people together, bring the resources, be the objective group for that. But, money, is not something that they have a long past with. So this is a way to say, okay, you can do this. This is just like doing all your other programs. You identify the best presenters on that topic. You go out, reach out to them. The cooperative extension has been great. The financial planner, pro bono groups. Once again, we're there to help bring the best people to come talk to the community in the libraries. So like I said, the growth, as you can see, there has been great. So Alejo we had a little over 1,000 library partners. Every year, not every library partner does Money Smart Week, so that's why I have 900 there instead of over 1,000. But I think next year we hope to have over 1,000. In addition to the conferences, we do a webinar around this time every year to get those who haven't done it yet, kind of that 8-month, 6-month window before it starts. And so we're actually having our webinar focused for libraries that want to participate next week. And so far we already have 300 libraries signed up. I don't know how many of those are new libraries and how many of them are, repeat offenders. But it's still, as I said, we usually get probably at least 50% of them are libraries who haven't done it before. And so this is a way for them, once again, we do the same model that we do as the conference, overview. Then we have librarians who are public librarians talk about what they do, academic librarians talk about how they get involved, and like I said, it's just a great way to kind of build the comfort level of people who are interested in that, get it onto their schedules, because as some of you already know, probably when you've been trying to work with libraries, their planning schedules are pretty long out too, especially in bigger libraries, and so you have to get on their schedules. They may have a 1-year calendar, they may have an 8-month calendar ahead of time. So if you're reaching out to libraries and you haven't yet for 2016, this is the time to do that. Don't wait until January or February. That's too late for them to do activities with you. So in addition to what ALA does, we have, like I said, each state has its own library association, and they're separate organizations from ALA, but they are counted as chapters of ALA, and that's this is where I kind of get engaged through the Money Smart Week, is to get them to help promote it, maybe get involved onto the coalitions, to the groups that you guys are running. And I know in some of the states that has happened, in Michigan, in Georgia, and then having the librarians more or less do promotion at their own conferences. And I know Venus Lockett just talked that she's going to be at the Georgia Library Conference, which is in a couple weeks, and going to have a booth there. And so once again, it's really getting the messages back out farther beyond what we already have. And so it's great to have both you as chairs engaged in that regard. Also, feel free to ask librarians who are already kind of your partners already, they're happy, I think, to do presentations to help spread the word. So wherever you can find venues within your state, please take advantage of those talented people. Again, it's still mainly a public library program. The academic libraries, are our next kind of target. The challenge sometimes is when Money Smart Week is. So this year it's later, which then ties, as you know, gets more into finals week and everything. So there may not be as many academic librarians that participate this year as when it's earlier pre-tax day. I guess we've had a few that are pre-tax day. Those seem to work better for the academic librarians. School libraries, like I said, we have tons of school libraries. The question is, how do we get them engaged? So if people have ideas, I know people were talking a little bit about their school folks, and we had an earlier discussion with Dan about the curriculum. Obviously, if we can get financial education or financial wellness or something into the curriculums, into the school systems through the states, obviously the libraries hopefully can be a big partner in that and driving that and making it available to everybody. So those are, like I said, we have a discussion list that has a lot of people on it. So we don't try to invade their space too much. We just mainly send out information messages. But once again, if they're if the CFPB or some other group is doing a webinar, we'll send that out for people. I mean, obviously Dan's is very focused on libraries, but if there are other things, you know, things with the cooperative extension, if there are things, resources that are out there that are kind of open for the national library audience to partake in, that's what we'll send out through our discussion list. And then, yeah, social media, obviously we're doing a lot more stuff with social media, so we'll tie in with things that are going on. And the other group, like I said, that we work with besides the Federal Reserve Bank is FINRA. And so we've had a partnership with them for a number of years, and they were providing grants to specific libraries to do specific programs under the banner of Smart Investing at Your Library. And so that program is pretty much finishing, but they are giving us money now to kind of do some research on how many libraries are doing financial education, what are they doing, what types of things. So that will help us at least get some more data. I know there's a discussion about, what do we have that we can talk to people about. Hopefully this will help drive it and also just provide some, for us on a national scale, as I can see every year we have less libraries that it's their first time to do financial education programming during Money Smart Week. So you guys are helping to drive that, I think. Libraries across the country are, ones that haven't figured it out yet know now that they need to get some kind of financial education programming, and we hope Money Smart Week is at least a starter for them, and then they work with CFPB or other groups to kind of make it a yearly event. So I think that's all I wanted to say, and I'll wait for questions. So thank you very much again.
Thank you, Michael.
Now, I had a little PowerPoint, but
I think it'll display, will it?
let's see. Well, talking about social media and personalities, I just thought that I was thinking there's no celebrities with the name Noreen, so I didn't know if I would be Angelina Jolie for you, or do you want Sofia Vergara? Who has more clout? Sophia now?
Sophia.
Maybe Sophia. So I would just, all our panel, we need a little celebrity status, but hopefully our information will be overcome maybe our lack of social media presence. I don't have a selfie picture out there, but like Kim Kardashian. But
And Nora, I think the presentation is up now, so you can forward. Yeah.
I can forward it?
Yeah. No?
That's Visa Libraries. Let's see. Mine was the Foundation for Financial Planning one.
Uh-oh. Looks like are we missing a presentation?
That's okay.
Do you
We'll
have
go
an
to a
app?
handout. We'll switch it up. I think you all were given a handout, okay? And if it's confusing or later, we'll send out the PowerPoint. It was really brief, so I have a printed copy, so I'll go through my talking points there. So I'm here really through another connection really with the libraries training. We had an Atlanta Fed libraries training with Venus in Georgia, and through that, I kind of met Ken McDonald from the Protection Bureau, and he got a little bit more familiar with the Foundation for Financial Planning. Now, the Foundation for Financial Planning is a nonprofit, and all we do is connect financial planning professionals to do pro bono work in their community. So it's our mission is totally about pro bono, free, neutral, educational outreach, but we want to encourage volunteerism by the local financial professionals. So we do that through a couple of ways. We are a grant-making organization. We give grants to nonprofits to cultivate those relationships in their communities so that that is a sustainable model. They're not paying for financial education. They get it free pro bono through the financial planning professionals, okay? So our partners, though, we have a long-standing relationship with the Financial Planning Association, and they are a partner with Money Smart Week. The Financial Planning Association has 100 chapters, close to 100 chapters across the country. Practically all those chapters have either a pro bono director or a community outreach director. So any campaign can go, and on that handout, it gives you information. You can go to the FPA directly, okay? So I work on a day-to-day basis. About 2 years ago, the FPA asked the foundation to kind of manage their day-to-day pro bono outreach. So I know all the pro bono directors and have all the chapter contacts, so I work closely with the FPA in all their educational outreach. The other partner is the CFP board. They're another primary partner for us. And just to clarify, so the CFP board and the FPA, they have a lot of different missions for their profession. But the foundation, just so you know, our mission is solely educational pro bono connections, okay? Now, what is pro bono financial planning? And it's on your handout. We do information that is advice given is education only. All volunteers that work with us, no sales or promotion of products or services is allowed. So no branding, no business card, no solicitation, okay? It introduces the participant to the financial planning process. We also provide one-on-one opportunities. People need workshops and they need education, but sometimes they need one-on-one opportunities. So we try to cultivate that so people can talk confidentially about their personal needs with a financial planning professional. It helps a participant understand their financial situation and establish steps and goals. And the other thing is, these are 100% volunteers. They're not paid, it's all volunteerism. So when you're planning your events, please keep in mind a lot of lead time, because we've got to know that it's happening, reach out to the appropriate professionals and get them connected. We have, through the foundation and the FPA, there's all kinds of neutral educational presentations on all kinds of topics. Estate planning, retirement, caregiving, student college, so any kind of neutral presentation, we can provide that through our pro bono financial planners. And the other thing I'll mention is, everyone know about NEFI, NEFI.org? All right, great toolkits, all that stuff is vetted and neutral. And an example of how we handle things is sometimes you do have some great resources out there through community education, but a company logo is like on every slide. So a lot of times, like with financial planning days and a couple things like that, I'm reviewing those PowerPoints and I said, yeah, that's all great. Do me a favor, take that company logo off of every slide. I don't mind it maybe in the first slide, introducing the speaker. And sometimes you have to check the web links that are being provided, because sometimes they slide in a company web link versus a neutral. They have usually a combination. So that's just something to keep aware of. I want you to use the community educational resources that might be branded with a company, but you have to be careful on that. And that's just some of the steps that I use with financial planning days. In October, if you go to the Financial Planning Days website right now, you'll see all the cities that are doing financial planning days, and that is something that you can do during Money Smart Week. Typically, they happen in October. They're events that are open to the public, that have workshops, and they usually have rooms where people can huddle up, and you might have like a room like this, and people are talking all these different tables, having their one-on-one sessions, okay? So I talked about how you can get in touch with the FPA. That's how you connect with those chapters, and that's on your handout. The CFP board, what they're doing, and this is part of the national partnership and on the website, but what they will do is they will push out to the 70 to 90, I'm not sure what the current number is, like 70 to 90,000 certified financial planning professionals. They push it out to them and say, if you would like to be available for a Money Smart Week campaign, they can sign up as a volunteer. And you as campaign managers should be able to go to the Money Smart database. Now, obviously, with the rollout of the new site, we'll have to check it, but you should be able to search specifically for that CFP mark and find someone who's willing to volunteer in your area. You can also go to the foundation website. We have a programs page, and I have some toolkits, and they could be used for Money Smart Week, any other nonprofit. I also have created a link where you can request a pro bono planner. So you can request it through me, the Financial Planning Association, or through the Money Smart Week database. And I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is we have our strengths. People want to volunteer, the professionals want to give back. So if you are the libraries, the nonprofits, if you provide the venue and the people, the professionals would love to come out and give back to the community. So we provide the financial planning professionals in a pro bono approach, and you guys provide the venues and the people. So that's our partnership, and I will let him come up.
Oh,
I don't like to trap.
Okay, that's fine. Do you have, well, we had an issue with the slide deck. I saw my team scramble, so I'm assuming they're trying to rectify that. But when we advanced, was that your slide or was it not?
No, that wasn't my slide.
Okay.
That had Visa on it. Definitely not Visa.
Okay, well, if you have them here though, so if you could talk to those, and we will
can talk to
provide
those.
all the slide decks on our website post-campaign or conference.
Low tech, I do it frequently. Like I was introduced, I'm Pam Atkinson. I'm one of 3 consumer economic educators with the University of Illinois Extension. We do a lot of work in a very small amount of area because there's very few of us. But today here I'm also representing National Extension, National Cooperative Extension, which is a division of the USDA, and NIFA, which is the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. Cooperative Extension educators have been a part of Money Smart Week since it began in 2002 here in Chicago. And Cooperative Extension became an official national partner in 2011. The goal of Money Smart Week, of course, which is to help consumers better manage their money and their personal finances through a public awareness campaign, is a perfect fit for Extension. Because we do the same thing with a research-based outreach education. If we'd have the slide here, I could show you a picture of Susan Shockey, who is our national program leader for family and consumer economics. But I'd like to tell you a little bit that the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, NIFA, and the Division of Family and Consumer Sciences helps strengthen families, farms, communities, and the economy as a division of USDA. And their purpose is to establish educational and research priorities for local communities, for states, multi-states, and national work on emerging issues that are germane to the economic well-being of both individuals and families. So some of their priorities through USDA NIFA include the financial instability that is occurring right now across the lifespan. They're trying to help rural and urban individuals and families maintain economic stability in a changing economy, and we see that constantly. And we're supporting community development in increasingly complex and diverse environments. The family and consumer programs foster 3 different dimensions of financial capability. And one is just basic financial knowledge and the understanding of that, financial skills and competence in those skills, and then ultimately we want people to be able to take financial responsibility for themselves. USDA NIFA, Family and Consumer Sciences, and Cooperative Extension has been able to ally itself with a wide range of institutions and groups that are dedicated or supportive of financial literacy, which further strengthens our goals for greater awareness and reach. As part of USDA and NIFA, Family and Consumer Sciences That's really a mouthful. As part of National Cooperative Extension, we'll just do that. Our participation in Money Smart Week, we actively promote, partner, and provide programming all across the country. For more information on how to engage your local extension educators, contact your local extension, whether they be in your county or through the state. Somebody should be able to hook you up with some pretty good information and programming. There would be a slide, if there was a slide here, that would show the United States.
We're working on it.
That's okay. I can describe. United States, lots of dots, at least one in every country. Oh, good. There we go.
Maybe not this one. Uh-oh. No, we're okay. You're okay. It's okay. We'll probably just cut this one.
There it is.
There we go. All right. Okay, so that's generally. Susan Shockey is the one in the red jacket. And there's my United States, thank you. As you can see, cooperative extension is well represented across the nation. Land-grant universities were created in 1862 by federal legislation, and more colleges were added to that particular group in 1890, and these were the historically black colleges. And in 1994, more were added to the land-grant program, and those were the Native American tribally controlled colleges and universities. So that there is at least one land-grant university in every state of the nation. All universities engage in research and in teaching, but the nation's more than 100 land-grant universities and colleges have a third, more critical mission, and that is extension. So we need to take the information that we've done through research and get it out to the masses, and that's what extension is all about. We bring that information to agricultural producers, small businesses, consumers, families, and of course, young people. And we emphasize taking the knowledge gained through research and through education, and we bring it directly to the people so that we can help provide positive changes. So together, this is kind of what our national response team looks like. We have over 3,000 counties across the United States that have a cooperative extension presence in each county. At the state level, there's the land-grant colleges and universities. In Illinois, it's the University of Illinois. And if we take a look at how extension has participated in Money Smart Week in past years, you can now start to think about how you can utilize extension in your area and to partner with us. A cooperative extension can offer office space or meeting space, as well as educators throughout the nation who are all usually active participants in Money Smart Week. And a lot of the space that they provide will be free for you, as well as their educators. So look for an office in your area that can help you host Money Smart Week events. You can also partner with Extension to help publicize events, because Extension usually will be at a lot of fairs and expos promoting our programs. Because we are a National Money Smart Week sponsor, give us your promotional materials, we will help promote you as well. Now, are you looking for some specific presenters for Money Smart Week? Hey, come to Extension. We often have a presentation already done that we're doing that meets the needs of your specific audience. So here are some of the topics that were presented by consumer economics educators in just 1 year in Illinois. I'd like to remind you there are 3 of us. We did debunking credit scores, investing for 2014 and beyond, money habitudes, estate planning, getting ready, creating a financial center in your home, smart ways to save, adults and money, identity theft, practical finances, financial recovery after disaster, scams, frauds, and seniors, the Cool Cash Adventure Carnival, and my personal favorite, exit strategies, planning for life-changing events. Cooperative Extension, we actually love Money Smart Week. For us, this is our county fair time. We gear up for this all year long, so now would be the time to start engaging your particular county extension offices. We plan to continue this positive national partnership, and we look forward to building more local partnerships in all of your local communities as well. If extension members are not already a part of your local Money Smart Week planning, give them a call. And it doesn't have to be just the consumer economics educators, because there's very few of us, at least in Illinois. But we also have chair people for Money Smart Week campaigns in Illinois that come from family life. They come from other different areas within extension. And finally, oh yeah, money is everywhere. These are examples of some of the other programs. So you want to think outside of the box. It's not just consumer economics, but let's engage the other members of Extension as well. So you've got your nutrition and wellness. So you've got your family-friendly freezer meals. Eating healthy doesn't have to break the bank. Healthy meals for 1 and 2. All definitely ways to help people better their lives as well as save money. Energy savings for your home. Eating right when money is tight. My personal favorite is, can money really grow on trees? That particular one was done by a group of master naturalists. So definitely not consumer people. Our master gardeners also do quite a few programs on gardening on a dime and trying to show the economics of how to grow your own vegetables and how much you can produce with a small amount of investment. So if you're looking for places to hold events for speakers, call Extension. We're here for you.
Thank you, Pam. So, and I think that's great to end on some of the examples of some of the diversity of programming that is available, not just through Extension, but other places as well. So, be creative in the types of programming, and we've seen that in lots of different campaigns. We'll hold the questions here just because we're short on table. We'll get to that in a second because we are a little short. But Dan's gonna go up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up.
Becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Dan Rutherford. I'm with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and like every good federal government employee, I have to come with a disclaimer. So there's mine. First, I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about who the CFPB is and the work that we do. We were formed in 2010 as part of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. And basically our work stands on these 3 legs, so education, enforcement, and research. I'm with the educational team. Our division focuses on how do we educate consumers to make better financial decisions in their lives. Right? That's sort of the first defense, is how do we get it so people don't step into bad products, step into bad situations, right? The next leg, of course, is enforcement. We regulate the biggest banks and depository institutions, those of over $10 billion in assets. Collectively, they make up about 80% of the market. We also regulate non-bank entities, such as mortgage service companies, private student lenders, credit reporting agencies, those types of organizations. And we can also regulate other members of the financial marketplace once they're identified as larger participants through rules and regulations. Finally, we do a lot of research. So before we make a rule, we can't just go out there and write something and say this is now the law. We have to do a lot of research, and we put a lot of effort into determining how particular laws or removing particular rules and regulations might affect the marketplace. So we have a staff of economists, we have a staff of researchers who are constantly looking at those issues and the impacts and maybe the unintended consequences or potential consequences of what could happen if rules change. We also do a lot of research on the educational side. So one of the things that we do is we also take complaints from consumers. We'll look at that data and see if there are patterns cropping up or new issues popping up in specific areas of the country or in specific product areas or what have you, and that serves as sort of a trigger or indicator for us that this might be something worth further investigation or looking at as well. We also, on the educational team, look at that data to say, are there knowledge gaps? Are there issues that consumers are having problems with that we might be able to address, and how would be the best way to address that? we're also looking at what's the best way to educate. So you heard Elise earlier talk about financial wellness. Some of our research today is currently looking at what that means for Americans. Everyone has a different sort of definition of what it means to be financially well. And we went around the country, talked to thousands of Americans, and gathered those answers up and sort of put it together in a number of different categories. And now we have some things that we can measure wellness against. And the next phase of that research is now building those metrics. So how do we actually create that yardstick, and what do those indicators look like? And that's how, sort of bringing it back around full circle, is how do we measure if something's effective? Is it how are we impacting financial wellness? Now we'll have the yardstick to measure that. Bottom line, we've secured and returned $10.8 billion back to consumers. That's since 2011. We were reformed by the Dodd-Frank Act in 2010. Took us about a year to get up and going, and now we're 4 years old. So in those 4 years, that's the impact we're making for consumers. So we also, as we were going around, as we were getting started in our office, in particular the Office of Financial Education, what we wanted to do, and realizing that there are already a number of great players already out here in the world doing financial education, both at a national and local level and everywhere in between, we wanted to go around the country and determine where we fit into that landscape. And we did a number of listening sessions across the country. What we tended to hear over and over again from social workers, from financial educators, from city and state public officials, was that when consumers are having a problem and they're getting the runaround, or they're not getting the answers they need from their financial institutions or non-bank institutions, they don't know where to go next. What tends to happen then is that these consumers ignore the problem. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to solve it. Just forget about it. And that means that small problems turn into big problems turn into catastrophes. So what we came back, when we got back to DC, I was kind of given the challenge to say, what can we do on a community education level? How can we have something that's high impact, that's provides free access, unbiased information that gets into the hands of consumers when they need it, so that they know what to do next? Libraries were, for me, the obvious answer, and I won't go through a lot of these statistics because I think Michael covered a lot of this already fairly well, and he stole my line about McDonald's. That's my go-to, yeah. But from a retail perspective, libraries provide a great footprint, and they were really the natural answer. And we also wanted to look at or respect all the great efforts that all of you are already doing, okay? Like I said, there's a lot of people out there doing financial education, and I've been in this business for several years, probably more than I care to count. And one thing you realize is that a lot of us don't talk. A lot of us don't coordinate, and what we found as we started doing the research with librarians was that was sort of true for them as well, that what was going on in Brooklyn wasn't necessarily being heard in San Francisco, and vice versa. That there were people in communities that had very active financial education practices that weren't working with libraries or weren't working with other partners. And so what we wanted to do was to take advantage and leverage all of those good programs that were already in the works. And we certainly didn't want to be the government agency that came in with a program in a box and said, here, implement this and it'll solve all your problems. Because that's typically been the approach in the past. What we wanted to do was to find out what we could do to bring everyone together and start harmonizing, start working together, and start communicating better. So we started by talking to 9 libraries. I came from FINRA, so I was familiar with the Smart Investing at Your Library program, and wanted to get some folks that knew a little something about financial education and what worked in libraries. So we started making phone calls. We narrowed it down to 4 libraries that were interested in working with us because we were this upstart agency that nobody knew about. They were taking kind of a big chance in giving us any of their spare time. And then we went out and found 5 other libraries who had never done financial education before. And so we started with up there in the Northeast. We have Brooklyn. Down in Florida, we have Orlando. You can't really see South Carolina, but there's actually 2 libraries there in South Carolina, Florence County and Georgetown County. Pelham, Alabama, Columbus, Ohio, the Menominee Tribal College in Wisconsin. Let's see, Fresno and San Francisco. Who else am I forgetting? I think that's about it. And we started talking with these librarians and saying, what could we do to help you do more financial education? In other words, we're not here to replace Money Smart Week. What we want to do is take Money Smart Week to the other 51 weeks, okay? How can we do more financial education all year long? What is it that you need? What can we do to provide you? What are your roadblocks? What's getting in the way? You know, of course, one of the common things we hear is money. And time and all of these things. You know, those things we can't necessarily help with, but there are things that we can do to supplant that. So we provide a lot of free stuff, and I'll get to that in just a second. So this was 2013, and we actually announced this program in April 2013 right here at the Chicago Fed. I believe it was during Money Smart Week too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yep. This is what the program looks like today. We are in 631 communities. That's a total branch network of roughly 2,500 branches. The colors don't indicate much other than to help you see the different communities that we're in, although the spot sizes represent branch numbers. So we are in, I actually just got word yesterday that we have an appointment in Maine to do some training there, so we are now in all 50 states. Plus Puerto Rico, and a few military bases overseas. So, thank you. Thank you. And it really all started with just listening to what the libraries wanted, listening to what we could do to provide sort of those services. So what did they tell us? They wanted training, so we did some webinar training and a lot of in-person training. We did some down in Madison and Atlanta. I think we just came back from California not too long ago. We did some down in Texas, and I think planning some more down there. So, if you guys could pull the librarians together and some local partners together, we'll come out and do a training with you and help you put that together. We did job aids. We put together some materials that you probably saw up front with the folders. Take those with you. Take those back to your library. Share them out, because that's how we can go out there and do a lot of recruitment. But we also rely on others who are interested in financial education to help spread the word and help recruit for us as well. We've provided an inventory of free resources, and I'll show that again in a minute. Program ideas. What comes out of Money Smart Week, the good ideas that you guys come out with, we share those out, okay? And we talk about that to other librarians. Marketing materials, again, you'll see a sampling of the materials that we've created so far in the folders, but this year we're also going to be putting together some advertisements that librarians could then take out into their communities and putting together sort of the instructions on how to do that. And so that's coming this year. Lastly, we have a partnership guidebook. What we heard, and I think Michael touched on this too as well, is that libraries aren't necessarily the building with books anymore. Now, more and more, because of electronic reading and other opportunities that are available, people are finding that the libraries are an online commonplace. They're coming to the libraries to engage and utilize free Wi-Fi, to take advantage of the programming. It's becoming more of a community center. And in order to fill those program hours, libraries are more and more looking outside the library for people to come in and help out with that. So Extension is a good resource, FPA or FFP and CFP board. Got to get all the acronyms right? I'm from the government, I should know them all, right? But anyway, but what we were hearing was that they didn't exactly know what needed to go into those agreements. And so, what was typically or traditionally been a handshake over coffee, now they were looking for something more. How do I check out if this person is okay to come and talk to my patrons? If he's not or she is not going to come in and try to sell them a product. What should I be looking for? What kind of qualifications? What's the role that partner is going to have? And so this guidebook sort of walks libraries through that process, provides a couple of worksheets, and when you're done with those worksheets, you'll basically have all the information you would need to hand off to an attorney or someone in your governing body to draft a MOU or something that would be more
Dan, we
formal.
might want to borrow that just for Money Smart Week wide, but we'll talk
Absolutely.
about that offline.
Sure. So this is our website. If you come to consumerfinance.gov/library-resources, don't forget the hyphen, you'll be able to access all of this information. You'll see the webinar trainings that we've done linked there, and all of those are now on YouTube, so you can access them there as well. We've put together roughly, I want to say about 60 maybe pieces of print materials in English and Spanish that you can order in bulk. So you can order, I think, up to 1,000 copies, maybe 2,500. I'm not sure. It varies depending on the title because some of them are from other government agencies, and because of the size of the packaging and all of that, it varies. But these are materials not only from the CFPB, but what we've done is we've turned to all of the other government agencies who are doing financial education, and we said, hey, you guys got good stuff, give it to us. We won't take credit for it. We just want to get it out. And so we're paying for the shipping and handling, essentially. So you'll find materials.
Supplementing our office.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Yes. So it's us, FTC, SEC, the Federal Trade Commission, and Securities and Exchange Commission, Department of Labor, Social Security. There are a few others there. So check that out. If you want materials shipped out to you, you can turn there. And I did leave a note on Orlando's chair over there to talk to me about printing. So program ideas, again, these were just ideas that librarians could take and implement. Again, what we heard from the librarians was, don't tell me what to do because you don't know my library, right? Different libraries have different capabilities, different sizes, different staff. What we wanted to do was to create something that was one size fits all. So we provide the idea, the concept, who you might want to reach out to, who are some potential presenters, take this and run with it, make it your own. This is an example of our marketing materials. Again, we started by doing materials that librarians could put in the libraries, right? Notify the patrons that they do this sort of work, right? If I'm in the library and I don't know, hey, there's someone who's coming next Tuesday to do financial planning, how am I going to know to come back next Tuesday? Right? And so what we wanted to do was to come up with something that was just to raise awareness, just that your library is a place to come for financial information, okay? And that was the whole theming behind the materials, and we actually spent a good deal of work on this with our library partners to come up with that. And it was really to emphasize, again, that librarians are librarians. They're not going to be financial planners. They're going to help you find the answers. But really, it's kind of up to you, and it's kind of up to the other people in the community that they might refer you to. So, the guidebook I mentioned, this was one of the other key areas that they wanted assistance with. And again, it provides sort of an overview of the CFPB, helps libraries build and strengthen partnerships, and includes not only a list of national potential partners, but also who you might contact in your state, right? Every state is different. We couldn't list everybody, but here's where you could turn to if you wanted information, say from attorneys general or your state 529 plan, some other resources that you might consider. And that is it for my presentation. So there's my email address. If you want more on the program, you can send to financialeducation@cfpb.gov.
Well, I think all of our panelists went into some good detail there. Are all of you joining us for lunch?
Yes.
And you're sticking around for a little while. I think one of the things you don't want to leak too late into is lunch. So you guys made my role as moderator pretty easy here, but I think we should wrap. Because we do have a session we got to get to, right? So I know that there's probably some questions, and certainly our panelists will be with us for lunch and probably for the better part of the rest of the day and maybe even tomorrow. So
I do hope that all all of you will be here this afternoon because you're going to hear a lot of examples in those best practices panels
Yep.
of how some states are leveraging or sucking your people into our vortex, right, from each other organization. So I do hope you'll all stay with us this afternoon.